What's going on, Clint? How you doing today? How you been?
Doing good, buddy. Good, good, good. How are you?
Man, I'm making it work. I'm making it work. So how are you handling this whole global health crisis and the social distancing and the masks and everything? How's that going for
Well, I mean, it's been an interesting year for sure.
you?
Um, it's for me personally, I'm in the health field. So obviously, we talked about my weight loss the last interview, and that led me down this path. And since I am in health and we do produce natural products, on one side, the business side's been very good. Um, we've been very busy. However, hiring and operationally has been a challenge. So it's been stressful. It's weird, having to kind of just stay in your house all day long. Uh,
Yeah.
it's especially since we are an FDA registered facility, we have to keep everyone out other than people that have to be there.
Mm.
So it definitely has caused a lot of just nervousness overall, anxiety. Um, it's just a bit scary, not kind of knowing where the world's going, but at the same time, I'm very thankful because I still have a job. I'm able to employ people, and I feel a level of responsibility since I do have a company that is doing well during the crisis, trying to hire as many people as I can and try to give back to my community as much as I can and make sure that locally we are able to provide jobs, which is something that I take a lot of pride in being able to do.
We are really appreciative that you are so committed to making sure that you keep people working and keep people working in your community. That's commendable, and we appreciate that, brother. Really,
Thank
really.
you. Thank you.
Um, what are your thoughts on the Black Lives Matter movement? I mean, so much is going on, and we've seen so much now, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on
So um, one of the things I also pride myself on is the fact that we have a very diverse company. Um, and I need to be honest with you. When all of this first happened, it really made me, as someone who's never considered himself racist ever, to really look in the mirror and go, "Am I doing everything I can to make sure that equality, um, that at least I can reach and touch, is
it.
being handled?" Like I had to ask those tough questions, and I think that's really what we need to do as a population is ask the tough questions that make us uncomfortable, because I don't think it's as black and white as we want it to be, racist or non-racist. In fact, I one of the things I've tried to do is educate myself about the movement before I start kind of spouting off opinion. So I'll have individual conversations with my African American employees and ask them, how do you feel? Is there anything we can do? Do you feel like there's equality? And like try to understand the stories.
Mhm.
Even one of my employees uh, lived right where the Oscar Grant murder happened.
Mhm.
He lived during that. Like he heard the gunshots when it happened. So hearing that and hearing those stories and then researching those stories and understanding how horrific it is, um, you start to understand how bad things have been for a long time. But he made a great point. He said, "You're going to have a percentage that you'll never change their mind. They're going to be racist forever." That's a great point. You're going to have those that are trying to understand, like I hope that I'm in that percentage, trying to understand and trying to make a difference by understanding the problem first before we can fix it. But then you have all these people in the middle that are indifferent because they just kind of like, let's just not deal with it. It's a hard subject. I don't want to deal with it, right? And he goes, those are the people we need to reach, because those are the ones that can make a difference. And all of a sudden the light bulb went off. Like it's like, wow, like it's the people that aren't necessarily, you wouldn't consider them racist, but they don't know what to do. So they're kind of like, they're paused in their own fear, paused in their own, I can't fix this problem, so I'm just going to not deal with it. And that goes back to um, Juneteenth not being taught in schools, like just like the education, people, because it's uncomfortable for Americans to have to deal with. It's uncomfortable to say we did this to another population, because we always grow up going us versus the Nazis or us versus whatever, and we did all these great things, but we were persecuting our own people right in our soil, and we won't face it. So I think once we face ourselves and look in the mirror and go, this is what we've done to people, now we need to heal and get past it together. But I think first we have to fully grasp the gravity of what we did to others. And I think that's the only way the two communities can truly be accepting of it and then work together to try to fix it.
And I agree. I mean, and when you say what we did, I take a little umbrage to that. It's like what the system has done, what this country has done. So you didn't do it, but the way the systems are set up in this country, the way things have been set up, and you're right, it's the people in the middle that really didn't pay attention until they actually saw this man sit there for 8 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really pay attention until they actually saw it, and those are the people that will be the ones that to move it.
But the thing is, it was there. I mean, Oscar Grant was on video. I mean, like when I saw it, and I had never seen it until he sent it to me. When I watched it, I'm like, how was this not everywhere? And let me make one other point too. I'm in nutraceuticals, and there's a ton of research ongoing about the disparity of African Americans dying with COVID versus white people. One of the things that's being heavily researched right now is vitamin D deficiencies. Vitamin D across the board for African Americans, it's harder to absorb and convert as a protection method because of the native countries are closer to the equator. It's how our bodies adapted to all that UV light. Well, that's being heavily looked at in other countries. They're doing emergency research to try to figure out how to save lives. Now, it could amount to nothing, but it could be something. And all the research is very compelling thus far. So my question is, why isn't that being done here? I truly believe if there were 4 times more white people than black people dying here in the U.S., things would probably be different. I hate to say it, but that's probably the reality. But that's some, I guess, medical racism that I'm seeing and I'm flabbergasted about, because these other countries are openly doing it and we're just kind of just waiting for the vaccine and people are dying.
Yeah, it is really mind-boggling to me how this administration has handled this whole thing. And it's not surprising, it's just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
But he's been who he's been since day one, so.
Yeah, he's his own creature. One thing I would like to say about that too is I think through all this there is a difference I'd like to make, and that is that just because someone's conservative doesn't necessarily make them racist or even against Black Lives Matter, because that seems to be that rift that's kind of driving too. And I've explained to my employees, like, me as a business person, I have some conservative beliefs when it comes to business and finance and things like that. But I'm very much in favor of the movement, in favor of equality. So I think that's something we have to be careful of too, is not putting people kind of in silos and going, you believe this, therefore you believe X. You know what I mean? Like, because people can have varying beliefs.
I do understand that, but when you look at Democratic Party versus Republican Party and what the Republicans are doing and what they're calling themselves conservatives, to me, party is all made up. What are you going to actually do? What are you actually doing in the community? What are you actually doing for the country? I don't care you red or blue. It don't matter. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But now it seems like the Republicans have moved to a place where it really is about being separate. And people that are moderate Republicans don't really get any say right now. I have some conservative views. I consider myself a Democrat, though, but I do have conservative views at times. I think both things dovetail. Well, I won't say nobody's one thing or the other, because obviously they are. But, I think more people are kind of somewhere in the middle and want a government that speaks to that and not just one side or the other, So,
and speak to the good of the population.
Yeah.
I truly believe that if we were able to function as one unit, as one operationally, think about every sports team in history. The ones that dominate, the ones that do really well, are the ones that have a coach who's able to bring everyone together and everyone's going for a common goal. We have enough enemies in this world that to than to have to fight one another or
Right.
over beliefs, over things that should, to me, be very common sense. Like, we're all humans. We should be treated the same way.
Yeah.
Black, white, women, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever you work and do in your life, and how you treat people should dictate your outcome, not
Yeah.
not the color of your skin.
Yeah. So, in one word, now we're going to go back to like your confession and the show and all that stuff right there. Okay, so in one word, can you describe how you felt after opening yourself up on the show? Opening up the show, the confession envelope on the show. I'm sorry.
Um, well, my word was angry. So it actually, I think it applies now more than ever, because then and now, I guess I was what I said on the show then, I was faced with that decision. Now, do we sit and do we be angry about our current circumstance, or do we understand that we all have a life, things happen in life, and it's how we get over it. It's how we handle the next day moving forward, because it's so easy right now with everything going on to wake up and go, why me? Why now? Why? Because like I said, we have a good business, but there's things that happen during the time, like logistics things and stress. And, it's really easy to go, why? Why did all this happen? Why is my life like this now? Why can't it just go back to what we thought it was going to be in December 2019? Why? And anger, because that's, a lot of people are angry. And I feel like nothing ever actually gets accomplished like that. I think the true winners in life are the ones that are able to go, okay, this happened. How do I fix it and move on? Because most successful people you've ever talked to, they haven't had a perfect run. They've run into things that have been that would probably end other people, and they figured out ways to get through it and keep going. And the only way you can do that is to lose the anger and go, okay, I'm here now. Let's think and react to the situation and get through it.
After being on Confession Box, do you find it easier to talk to people about your confession?
Absolutely. Yeah. Anytime that you can, a lot of times what we hold most personal, I feel like we have these conceptions, a lot of times misconceptions about what other people will think of us if we tell them, these kind of just
Truth.
secrets that we contain inside. But really, a lot of times I think we put too much thought into what other people might feel. And most of the times we're all kind of selfish in a way by nature, where we're worried about ourselves and our life and all that. So like what you tell me, you're going to tell me, I'm going to analyze it in that moment, but it's not going to probably have a lasting impact on me for very long. But I think when we flip flip it around to ourselves, we're thinking that everyone's going to think of me and judge me and this and that. And, we put all this weight on it. Mm-hmm. And once you can kind of remove that weight, you can just kind of let a confession out, let it into the world. And it's just easier and easier to talk about each time. But I think it's that perspective that we have to grasp, that it's not going to matter to a lot of people in a way, like
that part.
Yeah.
People don't care as much as you think they care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And once you realize that, it frees you, not just from that confession, but in life. You can kind of live and be who you are without worrying about what people are gonna think of you, because you can't ever impress everybody. You can't ever make everyone happy. You just can't. And if you live your life trying to do that, you're gonna fail anyway. You're always gonna end up going, I'm just not good enough. Well, no, that's not true. It's just everyone isn't born happy.
But happiness is relative, and happiness comes and goes. And nobody's happy all the damn time. If they are, you have to ask what they're smoking. So would you recommend Confession Box to anyone in need of telling their story?
Absolutely, because I think to me it's like ripping the Band-Aid off the sore. You know what I mean? It's when you do it, you're doing it with a host, and you're doing it publicly because it's being recorded. But in some ways, it's almost like when someone has an anxiety disorder, and they can get on screen or get on stage and act or be in a play, but they go to a social setting or a party, they can barely function. It's one of those things where once you're put on the spotlight, you just have to kind of let go. Like, you have no choice. You're there and you just kind of let it fly. Then at that point, again, it just makes it's a it's a great sense of freedom once you're able to do that and express that to everyone around you.
Nice.
But, you know, the weight loss was one thing, but for me, admitting about the eating addiction and all that was tough, just because I, tried to position myself as somebody that's able to control myself and control those urges and all that. So when you actually have to like kind of go back into your past and go, there was a time where I wasn't like that. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that motivates others, but it can be painful because you try to also yourself get past that mentally.
Right. Absolutely. Is there anything else you want the viewers to know about you? What are you passionate about? What are your hobbies? What do you love? What makes you smile?
Well, I mean, I've fallen in love with working out for sure. That's something that I've it's a constant, and I'll be honest, it's been hard being quarantined. I have a gym that I built at my office, but mm-hmm. I've had an ongoing sense of guilt of using it because I knew so many people that like were kind of shut out of their own gyms. Mm-hmm. So I kind of felt like a jerk going, oh yeah, I have this huge facility to myself when other people couldn't leave there. It was just weird. I didn't post any photos about it. I didn't really talk about it.
You're such a nice dude, man. You're just a nice dude.
I just felt weird. I just felt off about, because it feels like you're flaunting over stuff,
Yeah.
So, that's a big part. I love traveling. Of course, there's not much of that going on right now. So a lot of things that I usually, but the ways my years normally go, it's been different. But I love traveling. I love food. So that's something that there may be some irony there, but I do. Like, I don't deprive myself just because I learned how to control eating and my weight. I still enjoy food. I love
absolutely
food with my wife and desserts and different things, because you can have both. You can do both in your life.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If there was one word to describe your experience on Confession Box, what would that be? I'll give you 2 words.
Okay. Well, I will definitely say it was freeing for me, like freeing my entire story. And I'll say painful, because I had to go back into feelings that I truly haven't accessed in a very, very long time. But I think it was very, very important to do that, because I couldn't get it out without going back to that place.
That's excellent, brother. That's excellent. So where can they reach you on social media? How do you want them to get in touch with you?
So I'm not very good on social media. But I have because I'm also an actor. Okay. So there's a Clint Winters fan page. And when I say I'm not very good, I'm not someone that posts 16 times a day.
Clint Winters on Instagram?
Clint Winters on Instagram and Clint Winters on Facebook. Yeah, okay. I have a fan page. Yep.
All right, Clint. Thank you so much, brother. It was really great talking with you.
Good talking to you too, buddy. Thank you. Have a good day.
Peace.
Okay.